Good evening. I'm hereby calling to order the August 4th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Balestrella,
Present.
Mr. Mano,
Here.
Mr. Medic,
Here.
Mr. Minor,
Here.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Here.
Mrs. Snyder,
Here.
Ms. Taubin.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The purpose of the meeting this evening is to discuss the Cleveland Water Suburban Main Renewal Program. We have Cleveland Water Division Commissioner, Mr. Alex Margavicius, here to present and answer any questions. I will now turn the meeting over to you. Thank you. Right there, yes. Is there the mic behind there? And just hit it so
It's
that it
there.
turns green. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, good to see you again. Madam President, members of council, thank you so very much for having us here tonight. I was here in June, met with the mayor and your finance director and your engineer at the time, and made the presentation, and am here back tonight to explain the program and certainly answer any and all questions that you may have. With me here tonight is Margaret Jackson, who, if you don't know Margaret, you need to know Margaret, because she is outstanding at getting issues addressed for you, billing questions, water main questions, delay in service, anything like that. She's outstanding at that. So I recommend everybody get her cell phone number up here, you know. Quickly diving into the presentation. First, the Cleveland Division of Water. We are a major regional water utility. We're full service in that we do everything, from treating the water to delivering the water, doing billing services, customer account service, answering phone calls. We are owned and operated by the city of Cleveland proper since 1856. We serve 1.4 million individuals in our region, 440,000 accounts in 6 counties, making us the 10th largest water system in the United States by that metric. We are an enterprise fund, meaning that all of our revenue comes from ratepayers, from the water bills that we charge. We do not commingle with the City of Cleveland's general fund. Our budget now is, well, a little bit up to date here, probably a little bit closer to $350 million a year now, and we have a budgeted staff of about 1,000 employees. If you look at the map in the packet, Mayfield Heights is in the 3rd high service district. That's, you can see the pink outline there. In the orange district, you're in the higher elevation district. It's a little farther away and a little higher elevation, and our water rates are based in part on which service district you happen to be in. So about the water main replacement program and the new water service agreement, this started actually around 2007, really now, where we have come up with a new way of doing business, partnership with our suburban customers. And there are 5 major elements to this, and I'll discuss each one a little bit. The first is a new water service agreement. We call it the restated water service agreement that you would execute if you choose to do this. There is a companion economic development agreement that goes with this. There is an asset transfer agreement. Currently, you own the distribution mains. You transfer them to us. We have our suburban water main replacement program where we are reinvesting in these suburban mains. And there is a reimbursement agreement as well. And I'll mention again about each one of these. So the restated water service agreement, Mayfield Heights signed their current agreement. I believe yours was from the 80s. We forwarded a copy of that to the administration. If you execute, you will sign a new agreement called the restated agreement. It is for a minimum of 20 years. And there's a reason for that, because as we reinvest in suburban Maines, we want to make sure that you're with us for at least that long to make sure we get some payback on the reinvestment. And it automatically continues in effect year after year thereafter. You do not have to proactively take a step to renew the agreement. It just continues thereafter. Now, when we started this program, again around 2007, some of the suburbs asked the question, what if it turns out we're not happy with the flavor of this agreement? It's not working out well for us. Can we go back? And the answer is yes. You can go back to the current version of the water service agreement if you like. You do have to give us 5 years advance notice for that. But you can go back to the previous agreement if that is the desire of the community. Associated with the restated agreement, if you compare side by side the 1980s agreement with the current agreement, it's at least 75-80% exact same language. It's a few changes here and there, but the agreement in heart and essence is largely the same. The economic development piece includes now a municipal utility district agreement. It used to be called JEDs. JED or JEDs, if you're familiar with those. And we were told some time ago that JEDs were not appropriate in the state of Ohio for these type of water agreements, but they do have something that's essentially the same thing, does the same thing, and it's called a municipal utility district agreement. So there would be a companion agreement also executed. It would run concurrently with the new water service agreement for the same 20 years. There is some generic language about promoting economic development jointly between the two communities, encouraging regional cooperation. The agreement is strictly bilateral, okay? And we'll get into some of the restrictions that are in here, but it is strictly bilateral, meaning that if we have an agreement with you, we also have an agreement with Shaker Heights, okay? But you are not bound or limited or restricted on any incentive programs you want to do to try and get a business from Shaker Heights, for example. It is strictly between you and Cleveland that these restrictions are in place. And it goes both ways, okay? So we agree mutually to limit the pursuit of each other's businesses. On the next page talks about some of the things that are limited. Real estate tax abatements are not prohibited, but are limited. Okay, it can only be for 75% or less of what the real estate tax would be, and for a period of not greater than 10 years. So if we're looking to incent a business who happens to be in the city of Cleveland, you have to abide by those restrictions. Okay, so it's not an absolute prohibition on the real estate abatement, but it is a limitation on it. Income tax abatements are strictly prohibited. Now, one thing that I do want to stress is when this was conceived in 2007, the big issue was flight from the city to the suburbs, and the city was looking for protection. More recently, there has been movement from some businesses back to the core city, and we have been restricted and prohibited from incenting any of those companies if they've signed the restated water service agreement. So I would say it's as much in play both ways as it is just as opposed to just being a one-way type of an agreement. There is a list here in the agreement. I'm an engineer, I'm not a finance person, but there are some other tools in incentivization that are still allowed. Low-interest loans and TIF financing, for example, relocation assistance, all those are still allowed. There's no prohibition on any of that. Now, it is possible that a business without incentives still could, of their own volition, choose to move from one community to the other that are parties to this restated agreement. If that occurs, whichever way it goes, the agreement says for the next 5 years that the gaining community remits half of the new income taxes back to the losing community. Starting in year 6, the gaining community keeps 100% of the income tax going forward. So it's designed to ease the blow a little bit to a community that may lose a business to one of the other communities. Okay? So that's what that element is. So that is the heart and the essence of the economic development pieces of this. Now, getting into the water main program, the distribution mains currently are owned by Mayfield Heights. You own those small mains, 16-inch and smaller, the 12-inch, the 10-inch, the 8-inch mains. They are yours. As part of this agreement, you agree to transfer those water mains to the city of Cleveland. And in consideration of that, and as part of this agreement, we now assume the responsibility for the capital improvements in those water mains going forward. And it was explained to me that from a legal perspective, we need to own the mains in order to do capital reinvestment. Currently, we repair the mains if they break. That obligation remains whether you sign the new agreement or not. We will continue to repair, but a capital replacement of a long 5,000 feet or something like that, or a whole street, we need to own the main, is what's been explained to me for the reason why the mains are transferred to us. I mentioned that you can revert back to the old agreement if you choose to. One of the other terms are in there is that the water mains would transfer back to you, but in the meantime, if Cleveland had done some reinvestment, there is a payback back to the city of Cleveland on a prorated basis. So in other words, water mains are assumed to have a 100-year life. If after 50 years you decide you want to go back to the old agreement and take back the water mains, you'd owe us for the 50% value of what we invested in that water main to get it back. Okay. So regarding the suburban water main renewal process, and your engineer, Mr. Feeney and Joe Chuney, are extremely well aware of this. They work for some communities that are party to this agreement and know the process extremely well. So the way it works is every community, twice a year, nominates streets and water mains that they would like considered for the program. We have a technical committee of engineers that reviews it, they score it, and based on an evaluation criteria, they compile a master list, and those that score well enough do get funded in the project. We do this twice a year, and there is several cases that occur where sometimes a water main doesn't quite make the cut the first go-round, but they resubmit, and maybe the second or the third time it manages to get up and get funded on the project. We use 7 criteria to rate and score these water mains. These criteria were worked on. This is not something Cleveland Water unilaterally came up with. We had a committee of several suburban engineers that worked with us. They represent about 75% of our suburban communities were on this committee that we jointly came up with these criteria. We work with a council of governments that Mayor Bain from Pepper Pike is the chair of the Council of Governments. And the COG has told us time and time again that they like the nature of the criteria we use in that it is done on a technical basis. There are no other factors other than technical reasons for why a main would score well. Nothing about the demographics of the community or anything are baked into that, and we took the lead from these Council of Governments of Suburbs that that's the way they like these criteria. The criteria include, first and foremost, water main break rate. If a water main is breaking too frequently, customers are not getting good service from that. If they're interrupted 2-3 times a year because of a main break, that's excessive in our view. And that is the number one criteria that is used. That's the best thing that a main can have, if you will, to get a good score. We also take into account recent main breaks. If main breaks, we have records about 40 years that we examine on the break rates. However, we also look at the most recent 5 years. And it's possible that on a 40-year basis, the break rate doesn't look that bad, but if it's just starting to accelerate, indicated by the most recent 5 years, that's an indication that maybe it's getting closer to its end of life. So this is a second factor that we take into account when scoring these water mains. Fire flow deficit is an important criteria. We're in an urban water system. The Cleveland Water is an urban water system, meaning we have bigger water mains, we have hydrants every 300 feet. The water distribution system is designed not just to deliver water to homes and business, but to also have excess capacity for firefighting purposes. And when those mains went in 80, 90 years ago, it had a full wide open diameter of 8 inches and delivered 1,500 gallons a minute or 2,000 gallons a minute, what fire departments like to see. But over the decades, it's become corroded on the inside and the diameter becomes less, and you may only get 700 or 500 gallons a minute, far less, causing far greater concern for fire departments. So if there is a demonstrated need, maybe in a commercial area, for example, that the fire flow isn't what it should be, then we give points for that as well. That's also a criteria that gets a lot of points. If there are recurring water quality problems, again, I mentioned these original mains that get corroded on the inside. There are occasions where that leads to dirty water, recurring, constant dirty water. Not just one time after the fire department maybe flushed a little too hard, but recurring time and time again. If that's a scenario, then that's a good candidate for potential replacement. The new pipe comes with this nice lining on the inside, and you don't get that anymore in the future going forward. Protection of new pavement, meaning if you are pairing a water main replacement project with, say, a road rebuild, we think that's sound, good infrastructure management. That's a good way to do things. And if you're doing it that way, you get extra points for that. And part of the reason we do that is because if you've got a project to resurface the road anyway, and you immediately before it replace the water main project in and of itself doesn't have to be quite as expensive as far as the road restoration of it. It can do a lesser road restoration because your road project is going to take care of that coming right behind it. So if you're doing it in conjunction with a road project, and we see lots and lots of projects now doing that, getting the extra points of coordinating with other pavement. On the flip side, this has been extremely rare, but if you were to propose to replace a water main in a street surface that's only 2 years repaved, you actually get some negative points for that, because we think that would be a bad thing to do. Transmission main benefits, meaning that everything else being equal, if you got a main replacement on a main drag with a lot of side streets coming off of it versus just a long residential street, the replacement on the main street has spillover benefits to all the side streets that come off of it. All the side streets get a little bit of improvement in their fire protection just by virtue of fixing the main in the main street. So if we call them transmission benefits, if you're able to do that, then you get some points for that. Lastly, a new criteria that has been added is lead service line removal. The federal government has a current mandate in place that all lead lines need to be removed by 2037. We have been doing that already. But if you had all the time and money in the world, water main replacement is a good time to get rid of lead lines. It would be a good way to do it if you could. We probably won't have that luxury under the tight deadlines that we're under. But nevertheless, again, everything else being equal, if you are removing 25 lead lines on a street, for example, as part of the water main project, then you get extra points for that as well. Okay? So those are the criteria. If you decide to move forward with this, contracting can be done two ways. You can have us design it and construct it and do the money, and the money never has to flow through your hands if you prefer. However, the strong preference of all the communities that have done this is where you do it. You let the contract. And the way that works is you do have to front the design money with your engineer. They will do the design for you. You put it out to bid. You get bids in. You submit those bids to us to review. We just want to make sure that a good competitive process was used. Assuming it is, then and there, we cut you a check that compensates you for the design already done, that compensates you for the construction work to your contractor, which is the big ticket item. So you don't have to have funding for that. You will get that funding up front to pay your contractor as you go. And you also get some money for construction administration, for your engineer to do inspection, if you will, as the project proceeds. So you get all of that up front. We typically have in there a 10% contingency allowance that we've put up front to you. I would say in most cases, not all of that 10% contingency is needed. So at the very end of the project, there is a true up. So maybe 5 or 6% have to come back to us, if you will, for the overpayment that we made to you up front. Okay. This table is an interesting one. If you see this, this is the projects that we've done to date. 497 projects, almost 500 projects. And the water work that we've committed to date is $243 million. We will soon hit $250 million that we have reinvested in suburban water mains. And I would argue the vast majority of this pipe renewal that has happened in the suburbs would not have happened but for this program. Perhaps a little bit here and there, but this has been an extremely successful program, I would argue, over the years, with taking care of the most problematic mains that are in the water system. The table here shows you all the communities who have signed the agreement, 43 of them to date. 39 are direct service like you are. The 4 master meters have a little different flavor. There are some others who are considering it. And what I tell all the communities that are considering this is to talk to your neighbors. You know, Richmond Heights recently did this, and they've gotten millions of dollars out of this just recently. Highland Heights, not too long ago, did it as well. Sometimes some of these other suburbs who have signed it say, well, I don't know, you know, that means a few more communities, we got to split the money across. But nevertheless, I think if you talk to them, they will express overall satisfaction with the program to date. The map on the next page shows those communities that have signed, and the ones in green have signed to date. The ones in yellow have not yet. Townships are in blue because of state law. They have less ability to execute these agreements. We've not yet figured out how to do anything with them to date. But clearly the vast bulk, I think it's almost 2/3 of the suburban pipe now is under this new agreement to date. I have indicated on the next table the communities that have successfully received funding. Euclid is the poster child. They have done the best by far of all the communities to date. They are from day one, and they have had a lot of old pipe that we have renewed. So you see 31 million there. South Euclid 17, Pepper Pike, Richmond Heights. Richmond Heights again 3 million just since 2023. So they have been successful to date. The next table is a histogram of the Mayfield Heights pipe. You have a total of 49 miles of pipe, and almost 22 miles of it are old pipe from the 1920s. That pipe is 100 years old. You're 21 miles of that. And the going rate today for water main replacement is about $2 million a mile. Okay? So that is a $43 million potential obligation if you choose to stay with it on your own. We did take a first cut of where we think pipes maybe have some issues in it, shown in the map on red. But again, the recommendations of where you want to go is strictly up to you. You can choose to pick whichever streets you think are important. If there's a coordination with some other street project that you'd like to do, you certainly can nominate as you see fit. So that is the essence of my presentation, and I'm more than happy to take any questions you may have.
Mr. Minor. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I had one statement for verification from you and then just a question. So the first would be, we are allowed to terminate the contract after 15 years with a 5-year notice.
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that we put that out there. The last slide that you went through where you have some of our streets marked,
Yes.
were these marked based on the criteria from a previous slide?
These are not, so We cannot score these exactly as it would be under this program because we don't know if it would be done in conjunction with a road project. We do not have detailed information of what the fire flow need might be. So it is not exactly like that. It's sort of a modified version of that same criteria, but it's still primarily based on main breaks as far as the performance and lead lines that are in the system out there. Okay.
Mr. Balistreo.
Thank you. Alex, thank you for your presentation.
You're very welcome.
I sit on the Public Works Committee, and we can confirm all your data for sure. We're in the process of really doing an infrastructure redo of our city, and we do have a road program. But my question is, because our streets are 100 years, our pipes are 100 years old, when we just decide to do a repavement, is it your recommendation to open that street and replace the water line when we do that repavement? The only reason saying is we have streets where we've concreted, done a total reconstruction, and I know on one street we've had 10 water main breaks. So, things get jarred around, we don't replace the water line. Now, our impetus is to replace those water lines when we do that, but not all of them need a total reconstruction.
That is correct. And so, number one, it does need to qualify, okay? It does need to have shown some history, okay? And I think our view is that mains that have a history are the ones likely to continue to have a history of problems if it's breaking frequently. I would certainly lean to prioritize, where are you having problems? And if it happens to be coincident with a main or a street rebuild, that would be a very good candidate, I think, to consider. But if you're doing it on two streets and one is performing, the water main's performing a lot worse than the other, that's the one that would have the greater chance of getting funded. And I would argue that age by itself is not always the best criteria. It's something to consider, but again, it's performance. How is it doing break-wise? And we do have some older pipes in our system, in the city proper, where we're responsible as well, that are performing just fine. We have a 40-year, I think, as I indicated, a window with some pipe 100-plus years with no breaks on them. So we're not in a hurry to get those, but going after the ones, again, that have been more problematic in performance.
Well, my issue, I guess, is when we do open up a street and do a total reconstruction and haven't replaced water lines that we think are patent, but when we close everything up, things got jostled around, and being a 100-year-old pipe, things break down after the fact. Now, if it's open and your criteria says, well, we haven't had any problems with that pipe, and now we close up the whole street, repave it or concrete it, and now we get these water main breaks. Now that's an issue that we don't obviously want to see. The residents don't want to see, but it's just part of the reconstruction process. And we've come across that, and I just want to know what you guys would feel about that. Once it's open, that's what I'm saying. Once it's open, your criteria is, well, did we have problems with it? But our bone of contention is we may have problems because we're in there replacing sewers or whatever we're doing, building up the base, and then we have issues once we close it.
Well, I would say we are somewhat bound by the criteria that are here, again, that Suburban Engineers helped us to craft. We have that issue that does come up in the city. I would say it is relatively infrequent that we see that, at least. It can happen, I guess. But again, we still go by that criteria of what its history has been to date.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
How many times has the city of Cleveland had issues with other cities that businesses wanted to go there? Like how often does that typically happen?
Yeah. So to my knowledge, there's been one case when this has come up, and it was actually went the other way. It was a law firm that moved from Lakewood to Cleveland. And that's the only case that I'm aware of that has ever come up since 2007 where this has been involved. So that is the one exception, and we had to pay some compensation to Lakewood for the taxes involved with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mano?
I have a couple of issues. Number one, this point system that you speak about, you know, anytime regional government is involved, everything gets set back, delayed. There's all kinds of issues that happen to appear to delay projects. And I'd like to know what kind of time frame that we would be on. Like, for instance, right now, we're looking at a couple of streets that are going to be
Right.
total rehabs. How long do we have to play this point game before we know whether or not that's going to be covered? That's one question. The second question, who set the threshold of a business earning $500,000 a year or more to fall into that program? I mean, a good law firm can make that kind of money annually. Why is that threshold so low? That threshold, in my opinion, should be at least $1 million and up. Is that something that's negotiable?
Well, so one thing is all the 40-some communities that have signed the agreement have the exact same language. And we do think it important to be consistent with everybody, that some people, if one community thinks the other is getting a sweetheart deal or something, I think that would be problematic. So everyone gets the same deal. Back in 2006 and 2007, when this was negotiated, this was done jointly with a committee of suburban law directors at the time. Again, this was not unilaterally done by the city. This was negotiated between our Council of Governments and the city with a number that they felt was reasonable. So we didn't build in any sort of inflation adjustment or anything like that, so it's been a few years. So I guess we can take that issue back. You probably would have to take it back to our Council of Governments and see if there was an appetite to potentially modify that. But again, it was not unilaterally done by the city. The issue about the timing of everything, so one of the reasons we do it twice a year instead of once a year, you know, the County Issue 2 program, or DOPWIC as it's called nowadays, they're only once a year. We thought communities would like to know quicker if they're getting funding on this. That's the precise reason why we do it twice a year. And so we do have the fall semester coming up, and we will announce in early September here what which projects are getting funded. Once that happens, it's most times, like I said, 90-some% of the time, the local community is choosing to execute the contract and we reimburse. So it's strictly on the community's timetable then. They have to do the design, they let the construction contract, they construct it, and we reimburse, okay? So we're not holding anything up, okay? I would say on average, many projects, and I understand that there may be some hurry in some of this, in your particular case. I would say in most cases, maybe where there isn't a hurry, the community, as they get organized and get a design done and led the construction, typically is about 2 years. But again, it's on them, and some communities do manage to do quicker. You know, if they can get a quick enough design done and let it, we'll reimburse as soon as you're ready to go. As soon as you get bids back, we will cut you a check then and there. So it can be quicker than that, no question.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I have one other quick question. Sorry. How does the program benefit the water company? Like, how does this program benefit?
Well, so I would argue this way, okay, until we had this mechanism, we did not have a means where we could help these suburban water mains get replaced, since we didn't own them. But these are our customers too, and these were customers on very problematic mains that we had a strong interest in, if we could figure out a way to get water mains repaired and make life better for our water customers. So we had a strong incentive to improve performance for our customers. I mean, we do not have a printing press in the basement, so it does eventually come out of the rates that we do charge all our customers to pay for this program. And by the way, the agreement, the strict letter of the agreement, obligates us to spend $10 million a year. We have voluntarily upped that to now over 15 million. And then just this year, it's up to 16 million, and next year up to 17 million. That we've heard from the suburban communities, they would like more resources to this. So we have increased it. My director says we're going to evaluate on a year-by-year basis. I think there is some anticipation this may go up to $20 million, another million every year that we're throwing into the pot on this, and then reevaluate at that point and see what the appetite even is among the communities partaking of this to support the rates that might be necessary to do even more than that. But we anticipate going to very likely double what our commitment, our legal commitment in the agreement is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Telbin? Your mic.
I have a couple. I'll start with one. What is the application date? Because there's 2 times you go, so what are your windows then for that?
Well, so we have told Mayfield Heights that submit projects now, which they have done. And we have told them we will score them, we will review them, and if you manage to execute before, if you choose to vote to do this, and the 2 law departments can execute the agreement by the time that we are ready to release in early September, and a project of yours scores well enough, we will honor that, and you will get a project funded. So typically, the cycle is roughly about a month and a half before we take about a month and a half to score the projects that get submitted to us. So I think it was like mid-July typically that, or even a little bit earlier, that we normally require submissions to us.
July?
Yes, for the fall semester. And then I think it's February for the spring semester. And again, your engineers are quite well familiar with all the ins and outs of this program and what those deadlines are.
Can I ask another question? The diagram that you have with the red, do these have the lead pipes too? Are these lead pipes, or do you know where our lead pipes are and if we have them?
Yeah, so it's a huge issue. If you go to our website, we have an online map. It's a really neat map that you can see what every single connection to every home is. Now, there are 2 sides to a water service connection. There's what we call the city side, goes from the water main to the shutoff valve in the tree lawn. And then there's the owner side portion, goes from the tree lawn into the house. So we report what we know about both sides. You'll see different color codes for the city side versus the owner side. If we don't know, we have to assume it's lead, okay, on the city side. So that's what it will say. It may not be lead. And as we go along in our lead program these days, we will excavate at the tree lawn and have to put eyes on both sides, the city side and the owner side, to verify if it is lead or not. We do have some good solid rules. We know after 1950 lead did not go in. So it's anything before 1950 that's the potential for lead. So those are some of the rules that we have baked in. If we know a water main originally went in 1920, but got replaced in 1980, the city side connections got replaced. So we know the lead's not on those particular cases. So we use all sorts of information that we can to make our best judgment as to where lead may or may not be. It's a very good map, by the way. I do encourage folks to take a look on our website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Belstraya?
One more question, Alex. Is there an appeal process with your scoring? We are preparing to open up a major one of our streets in 2026. And they get down there and the engineers tell us that we should replace the water line. But your scoring says, well, it's been patent and there's no issues. So now we have a little bit of a conflict. So is there a process by which we can appeal that?
Well, again,
Or have
there
any-
is not at the, well, I will say this. There is one other small wiggle area that most likely doesn't apply. We do have a provision for emergencies, meaning if a water main, 1,000-foot stretch has broken 4 times or more within a month, we say there's something really, really bad going on there, and you don't even have to go through the competitive process in that case. It simply gets awarded if it meets those criteria. But other than that, there is no other process other than one that we have stated to date. And this question does come up now and then, and we have said that if there is an appetite among our suburban communities to modify these criteria, we're open to it, okay? And if the Council of Governments, they want to work with us to get the committee back up, if you will, and re-examine some other criteria, we're more than happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes, thank you. So the income tax abatement,
Yes.
that's prohibited. I guess this is probably for finance. Does this affect our crack program?
The property tax piece would affect what we've approved as our pre-94 that we just amended, because the timing is different. We offer the full abatement versus their 75% max in the year, but for income tax, it would more affect our job creation grant.
Ms. Talbot?
I have two questions. It's about the water meters and the fire hydrants.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know if the water meters for residents have really been updated or not, because I see in here that they would be required to pay for that, and I'm not sure what our status is.
Okay, so you may remember, starting around 2013, we implemented our automatic meter reading program, our AMR program. If a meter at that time was 10 years old or older, we replaced the entire water meter in the house. If a meter was young, only 5 years old, we felt that was not a wise use to throw that meter away since it had so much life. So we did a simple retrofit. The register that fits on top simply got changed to be an AMR compliant register, if you will. So the meter stock is good in our view. These style of meter in residential, what's called a positive displacement meter, are highly accurate for a long time, decades and decades. You get good life out of them. And if anything, they slow down a little bit to the benefit of the customer. They under-register a little bit with time as it wears a little bit. So if a resident does have an actual problem with the meter, if it's broken, it starts leaking, it's not functioning, that's on us. That's on us. Cleveland Water absorbs the cost to replace that meter. So there should be no issues with meters.
Okay, thank you. And as far as fire hydrants, did anything change in the original to this one around how you handle fire hydrants?
What I would say is there's clarification in there now. It was not as clear as it could have been. So what got clarified is routine maintenance, like flushing, like painting if you choose to paint it, like oiling the nozzles, threads to put them on. We do look for the local community to do that, but if it needs to be repaired or replaced, that is on us. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mr. Minor? Okay.
Daggone mic on when I want. As a follow-up to President Snyder's question, what is the benefit to Cleveland Water? I just want to clarify what those benefits would be to you all. So one is customer service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, customers are getting better service on a main that's not breaking for them.
All right. And then the second part, you started mentioning rates. So are the rates for Mayfield Heights residents dependent upon the total projects awarded to the city in any way?
It does not. It does not. Every customer in each class, low service, first high, second high, third high, pay the exact same rates as everyone else in that district.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything further?
Yeah, more.
Go ahead.
I just didn't want to ask
Oh,
all
no,
in the
go ahead.
sequence. Oh, okay.
Go ahead. You're
Why
good.
we're here tonight.
So if the city decides to do design and construction on our own, is there a cap on the percentage of design costs, construction costs? Are there requirements we must work within as far as cost is concerned to be awarded a reimbursement?
So the big cap that could come into play, but we see most communities don't go this route. But if the cap hasn't really been hit, very little, I would say, is if the construction project is a combined project, okay? Meaning on the same contract that you're looking to do the water work and the road rebuild, as opposed to two separate contracts, okay? The water work happens up front, okay, on a combined project. You have to do that first. And we have seen in the past some contractors seriously unbalance their bids, where they will put too much money on the water main work because they get that money up front quicker as that work done first, and less on the back end, on the pavement work, if you will. So in order to prevent that, if it is a single project where the value of the water work is less than 90% of the total contract, there is a cap for how much the water work we would pay on that. If it's a water-only contract, if it's water work only, there's no cap. Whatever it comes to is what we will reimburse you. Assuming that, again, we do review for a competitive process was used. You know, as long as there was decent competition among multiple contractors, then we will pay whatever the market says the going rate is for that. Okay?
Should I
Well,
just keep
keep-
going?
keep going.
Okay, keep going. All right. Is there an annual budget for projected funds for Cleveland Water? So do you guys set a budget every year of your cap for projects? Every project, not particular to a city.
To our capital program, are you asking? We do have a capital budget every year, but, so let me back up by indicating that I indicated this year is 16 million, next year is 17 million, and that's regardless. That's regardless of what other capital projects we're going to do. We are committed to doing that, to meeting that dollar amount. The size of our, well, this was before lead, okay? So we're doing a lot of lead work nowadays. But before that, our capital budget was in the ballpark 75 to $85 million a year for taking care of our treatment plants, our transmission mains, this program, and everything else that we do.
Okay, I keep going. Is there an annual maximum per city?
There is. And again, this was discussed with the Council of Governments at the time, and the maximum for any semester, okay, we do twice a year, the maximum for any semester is 10,000 feet, okay? It's not a dollar cap, but it's a footage cap, so it's roughly 2 miles. So now you are free to submit more than that. If you want to submit 12,000 and see where it lands, but we will not award more than 10,000. And if you get multiple projects, let's say you get 12,000 feet that happen to be above the line, we will then come back to you and say, which 10,000 feet do you want to do now is the most important to you? And you select which 2,000 feet you choose to drop out at that point.
So within the municipal district agreement, I think is that one?
Yes.
I didn't write myself a very good note on
The
that
MUD.
particular one. There's a section in there about transferred ownership of real estate. So in what cases, real world, do you have where one of the partners in this program transferred real estate to Cleveland Water from the city?
I don't know that that's ever happened, and again, I'm not a economic development expert, so if, I'm glad to take the question back and get some clarification for you on that point.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about that specifics.
Feel me?
Go
Okay.
on.
It is 6:57. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. Within the asset transfer agreement,
Yes.
I did not see a clause in there, and we may not need it, but I'm just stating the question. There's no clause in there that states that Cleveland Water would not be allowed to sublease or transfer ownership within that 20-year period of the agreement. So I was just curious about that.
Well, I guess that's an interesting question. It's never happened, I guess, in the 160-some years of the Division Water's operation, so.
So the likelihood is low.
I
But
guess,
I was just
yes.
asking, there are so
Yeah,
many different
yeah.
ways to
Yeah, no, that's
maximize
never-
the dollar,
Never
so.
happened. And I will throw this out as well, okay? Both the US EPA and the Ohio EPA are strongly in favor of fewer, bigger water systems and less smaller ones, because the smaller ones, you got that one guy who's wearing 3 hats. He's repairing the main and taking care of the plant, and the pump station, and the water bills and everything, and stuff slips through the crack, and they make, on a percent basis, far more mistakes than the big systems do. So there is they want to see consolidation and a move, and you see that a little bit. You see smaller water systems that, in some extent, go away. You may remember Cleveland Heights used to be its own master meter community. We sold it to them on the wholesale, and they ran their own water system. They gave that up and became just like you, a direct service customer of Cleveland. East Cleveland did the same thing in 2007. So it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing for anybody, including us, to run a water system well, but more so even on a smaller system. So I don't anticipate us doing anything like that. Hard to contemplate something like that.
All right, I'm down to 2.
It's certainly, as many as you like.
Could you please provide some type of synopsis or definition of what encourage commercial and industrial development necessary or appropriate to promote economic development within the district? So that is spelled out. I'm just curious, what does encourage mean?
And I think we passed on the actual agreement. I don't know if you've got a chance to see it yet. The actual draft version of that language is passed on. It's aspirational. It's kind of soft language. I view it akin, if you remember Cuyahoga County some years ago did something along those lines that has 0 teeth to it, from what I understand. You know, there's no enforcement to it. This is somewhat similar to that as far as encouraging it, but is these other provisions that really have the teeth, the tax sharing and the income tax and the real estate tax, that are the real substance, I would say, of the mud. And the other is aspirational, as I say, you know, encouraging both sides to do that.
Okay.
So, but I don't think it's never come up, I guess, since 2007 that anybody wasn't doing that or anything like that, so.
Okay. And then my last question is just more of a request to just get a red line version of the restatement agreement versus the original, similar to what Councilwoman Telbin was asking about. What's the difference between the fire flow?
I have to see if there is one if there is such a document that still exists. We may, that was a long time ago that we worked on that, so we have to see if those files still survive.
Thank you.
But again, at least if you spot check side by side, you can see that most of the provisions are identical. So, okay? Thank you. You're very welcome.
Does any other council person have any questions? Okay. Thank you so much for
Okay.
coming
Madam
here this
President,
evening.
thank you very much for your time this
Appreciate
evening.
it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of council.
It's time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved?
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta.
Does the public have a right to ask them questions?
Second.
This is just
Se-
there's going to be a public meeting after.
Second by Ms. Talbin. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. To 7:01, we are now adjourned.
I was just surprised that this was in our packet. The resolution,
Wait.
resolution to approve it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What time frame is
Great.
Washington?
Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the August 4th special committee or council meeting of the City of Mayfield Heights. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Belstraya,
Present.
Mr. Mano,
Here.
Mr. Medic,
Here.
Mr. Minor,
Here.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Here?
Mrs. Snyder,
Here,
Ms. Talbin.
Here.
please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Where's all my, oh, there they are. It's like, where are all my other resolutions?
All mixed in.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, I went, he was going to go get it. All right, just go ahead.
You just want to bring them up?
No, I was going to see if you could just give us the pledge.
How do you wrote it down? What do you-
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
What's that?
There's no public portion. This is
Right, but what did you say about that job retention?
he's gonna.
I can't, he's got to read resolution. Because this is a special meeting, there are no reports of officers or open forum conversation with Republic portion. Thank you.
A lot of these questions are repetitive. So what impact does it have to the homeowners? Of course, we're not going to be able to answer, you know, what's the cost. So
Okay,
afterwards, I'll give them the name and number of that guy to call them directly, okay?
perfect. We're waiting for you, though. Yeah, resolution.
We'll tell them after.
We'll tell him after. We'll talk to you after.
Okay, you ready for me?
I'm ready.
All right. Resolution number 2025-40, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute, 1, an asset transfer agreement, 2, a municipal utility district agreement, and 3, a restatement of the water service agreement for direct service with the city of Mayfield Heights, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Balestrea
Second.
and second by Mr. Maddock. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Medic,
Yes.
Mr. Minor,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Ms. Talbin,
Yes.
Mr. Belstraya,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Maddock
Second?
and second by Mrs. Sabetta. This resolution is to approve 3 agreements related to the Cleveland Water Suburban Water Main Renewal Program. Everyone should have received the copies for review of the proposed agreements and presentation for review. We had a presentation from Cleveland Water earlier at our Committee of the Whole meeting regarding this program. There are 43 communities which have signed to date, and other communities are currently considering the program. This would be a transfer of ownership of our water lines to the City of Cleveland, who would assume responsibility for capital improvements in the mains. We have 49 miles of pipe, and 44% have been installed before 1930. The restated water service agreement would be effective for a minimum term of 20 years and automatically continue from year to year. Applications for projects are taken twice a year by the Cleveland Water Department for review and scoring of proposed projects. Cleveland Water can perform the design and construction of the projects, or the municipality can perform this work, which will be reimbursed by the Cleveland Water Department for the approved projects. This time, does anyone have any further questions or comments?
Madam Chair, if I could.
Mayor.
I think it needs to be emphasized that the reason we had this committee of the whole and a special meeting was to consider this proposal in order to include Washington, hopefully. And that's not a for sure, we could have our engineer speak on how he feels the street would score, how the project would score. But the main reason for doing this now in a special meeting, having a committee of the whole, and having Mr. Margevicius come out was so we could possibly get funding for Washington. But I think it's important that we know the costs. The costs as far as tax revenue we may lose, and the cost of what the street would cost. So with your permission, I would like to have Nick come up and just give us an idea of what you feel, for one, is the cost that they would assume in the project, and how you feel it would score, if that's okay.
Please, no, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor. As Alex has indicated, they encouraged us in advance of this meeting to submit our applications, and we did submit 2 applications. We submitted an application for Marnell, and we submitted an application for Washington. The application for Marnell came to an amount of $815,115, and that was for construction and construction administration. The application for Washington, the application amount came to $1,462,321, and that included the engineering design for the water line, the estimated construction cost for the water line, and the construction administrative portion for the water line. So again, Washington was a bigger number, just based on the timing. The application looks solid. As Alex mentioned, there's no guarantee. It is completely numerically driven and metric-based, with the breaks being the highest category. The application was solid. It just depends how it fares against the other projects that are submitted.
So on their scoring, we had a lot of positive points, is what you're saying. The point system. Did you look over how they point system that straight in the application process? Do you think that?
The break rate, it isn't the highest that we've seen, but it's not the lowest either.
Okay.
And, one consideration we have going for us, like he mentioned, is a joint project. So it's not a standalone water line. It's a water line included in a bigger roadway project. So we may get, more points to our benefit for that reason too.
Okay. Mr. Balestria.
Nick, you've worked with them through other municipalities. I just want to know what your gut feeling is about, before we go forward with these 2 projects. Like the mayor said, the whole purpose is to get these applications in to have a good feel. But I didn't see those lines on the map. And that's what I was trying to get them to say. If there was an appeal process, if you open it up and you say, we've had multiple breaks here, or we don't think this line's going to hold, will they send an engineer out, or
No.
they won't do anything like that?
Right. There is no appeal process. So if we moved forward and we didn't get the funding for Washington, there's no appeal.
There's no what?
There's no appeal process to the application.
But it wasn't-
Applications go in twice a year, and you get funded.
But it wasn't redlined at all, so I just don't have a good feeling on his map about either street, to tell you the truth.
I don't think you could go by that map. That's just what they pointed out, just from more of a 10,000 foot view, I would say, than really, they're not going to dive into our streets. And I mean, yeah, sure, it's the break rate and the age of the pipe, but
We don't really know that the scoring system by which they do this.
you don't know the scoring system? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
no, I mean, how do they rate the line, just on breakage alone? I mean, is that the only criteria that,
No, he had the seven.
There's seven
Seven
points on there.
categories.
7 points.
I mean, for the side streets, what else can we go by?
What? I mean, if,
Wish she was still here.
can I?
Go ahead.
So the real issue here is, do you have to weigh the cost of replacing all this infrastructure, even if Washington we don't get funding for it, into the future? How much help are we going to get in all this infrastructure we're going to get? On the other hand, how does it weigh against the economic input we can get from attracting businesses? And if you look at the 44% of the streets,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars over the next 20 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, who knows? But how does that weigh against the potential of losing income from a company that you cannot incentivize to come from Cleveland? To me, that's a pretty small percentage. I mean, you're talking just companies from Cleveland. That's the only thing only business you cannot incentivize. But when you're looking at the big picture of how much money we're going to have to spend in water lines, well, 1.4 million they could help us with on Washington.
No,
But that's just one street.
No,
And
I'm
so
with you, Mayor.
If we don't get it, I would ask,
Rowan.
Jeremy, how do you feel? I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you feel about that scale? I mean, as far as being able to attract businesses, do you feel that this is not? It's not in our best interest to limit our ability to attract a business.
Mr. Rowan.
Real quick, I just wanted to pull the application up so I could speak, a little bit more accurately to Councilman Balestrea's questions. Aside from the breaks, the break rate, it's not the highest I've seen, it's not the lowest, but another one of their categories they use for criteria was the lead connection. You heard them speak about the lead issue. And per this application, that number looks pretty high, so that we've got that in our favor with, we're figuring on 100 lead connections out there, so that'll be a pretty strong category. Again, no guarantees, but.
And most of the streets we're dealing with are 100 years old, realistically. Oh, I'm with
And
you.
the reason, and the reason why I wanted to hear from Mr. Rowan is I don't want to hamstring him. He's doing a phenomenal job, and I respect his opinion. So,
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the opportunity to speak, Mayor. I've worked in a handful of communities. I haven't worked anywhere that the elected officials have chosen to sign this agreement for a variety of different reasons. From an economic development perspective, I think there's the CRA concern. So the city has a pre-94 CRA, so it's a guarantee 100% abatement for new construction, commercial for 15 years, and for renovated commercial buildings, it's 10 years, 100%. So by adopting this, there's a conflict. Now, is it a conflict that's going to be problematic today? No. Is it something that could be potentially a conflict down the road? I don't know. But there would be those two policies don't align. From the job creation grant perspective, if a company were moving out of the city of Cleveland, and I think that ebbs and flows. In the 20 years I've been doing this, there's been periods of time where there's been exodus from Cleveland into the suburbs, and then there was a period of time where the suburbs were losing to Cleveland, and I think it's flat back now where companies are coming back out. So to lose, 50% of the income tax that's coming into the community, that you're going to have to incent that company to come into your community. Largely, incentives are dealing with relocation costs, and they're dealing with real estate costs to improve space. So they're big ticket items. They're money that has to be outlaid in the front half of an incentive. So I think the city would have a disadvantage of not being able to use the grant program to help with that. Now, it's not to say you couldn't structure something as a forgivable loan or a relocation grant that's paid annually based on, income tax. So you would have to get creative. It would be beyond the policy that the council has adopted here. So you would have to do probably City of Cleveland incentives as one-offs that you negotiate as they come up. Because you would be at a disadvantage if that same company was considering real estate in Independence, and they were considering it here, Independence wouldn't sign this agreement. So they would have that full pot of new money coming in to incent that business. So that would be my perspective. It doesn't impact what I do, but it's your all's decision to make the balance of how, as the mayor described, those two buckets weigh out.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Beltran.
Jeremy, I know you've been here just a short period of time, but what do you think are, to the mayor's point, the probability that we would get a Cleveland company to move into Mayfield Heights where this would truly apply, where it would, disallow us from doing this?
No one has a crystal ball.
I mean, I can't remember anybody that's really come in recently from Cleveland proper.
I will say that there is currently a company it's looking to move out of downtown. They're looking at all the suburbs, including Mayfield Heights. So I've been contacted by multiple business or real estate representatives that represent different buildings in the community. And it's a large payroll. It would be something, if this was signed and they came here, we would be giving up a substantial chunk of money, but that's early in the process and a lot of ifs. So, that would be a case where this could come into play. Does it happen a lot? No, it doesn't.
But half is better than nothing, and we still would have the program, if you want to look at it from that point of view.
You would in effect most likely have no new revenue from that company for probably at least 5 years, because you'd have to give it all away. Your half of what you do collect and we're able to keep, you most likely would have to incent that company to come. So the payment would be in the back half of the lease, most likely. So,
Okay.
And then, with the CRA, certainly it only comes into account if someone were to come here and build something new, which is unlikely at this point.
To play devil's advocate, and again, it's weighing the whole program. You lose 50% of, or we get say we have no revenue from that company for 5 years, but we save $1.4 million in cost of the street. So there's a serious balancing act that I guess that you have to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's nobody has a crystal ball. No
Right.
one knows what Cleveland Water is going to fund, which has always been a concern that a lot of communities I've worked in have had, because you're not guaranteed
That's
to
the
get
unknown.
this funding, but you're on the hook for these sort of negative impacts no matter what. And the threshold of $500,000 of payroll that's paying in withholding $7,500 a year. So a small LLC of 2 people could have a payroll of $500,000 a year. So it's conceivable, it's any business that moves here from the city of Cleveland would be sharing at that point. So, yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts, but ultimately it's up to the elected officials how you choose to move forward. And if you choose to go down this route, if that's the new rules of how we engage with the city of Cleveland.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Mano?
That $500,000 threshold really bothers me. That's, I don't know why they did that.
Well,
My
they-
opinion.
They did it because it benefited them when they wrote the rules.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the thing.
yeah.
They are a dying entity. They cannot keep business in the city of Cleveland because of the way it's been run for the last 50 years. They're penalizing everybody else because they're losing. They want everybody else to share in their loss. Regionalism is an ugly thing because, number one, you lose your autonomy. Number two, you don't know where you're placed in the pecking order. When things need to be done, the point system, I don't like that. I don't like them putting us in a position where we cannot run our city the way we see fit. Who are they to tell us we can't offer incentives? If somebody wants to move out of their city and come to our city, they should have nothing to say about that. Do something to keep those people from wanting to move out of their city. But they don't do that. They've never addressed major issues within that city that cause companies to want to get the hell out of there. They never address safety. They never address parking. They never address all the other things that go on down there because the same regime has run that for the last 40 years. So now, in desperation, they want to come out and say, well, we're going to do that. You know what it is? It's legalized extortion. We're going to take over your pipes and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But we're going to call the shots on what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. And in conjunction with that, we're going to deny you the possibility of Cleveland companies wanting to locate in your city. 50% for 5 years, I'm sorry. Personal opinion, I think it's a bad deal. If we have to replace those pipes, and it's like Mike said, they're not even on that map. If we got to replace them, you bite the bullet and figure out a way to do it. But don't give up. I think you're giving up more than you're getting. That's my opinion.
Mr. Minor?
All right, I actually have a question for Nick. The proposal that was submitted, did it meet their cap criteria for a joint project?
Yes,
Okay. So we were under whatever he said, that 90-10?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right, because these projects, both Washington and Marnell, the roadway, sewer, there's a lot in these projects, so it easily met that cap.
Okay.
And when was the deadline again? September?
They're going to make the announcements in September for projects that receive funding. The applications were already made.
The beginning of September? I'm
I
just
believe-
wondering,
We need to
like,
sign-
you
need
need
to
to
sign
do
on
it
the
tonight?
agreement now.
Okay. I'm just looking to
Or-
see if they-
or don't sign the agreement, we do Washington on our own and reconsider at some other point.
Mrs.
Call for a
Sabetta?
vote.
Okay, so we're already set to do Marnell, right? So we're done. This is Washington, which is a year away.
Oh,
Both of them.
Yeah,
Marnell
I
too.
heard, that's okay, I heard he, yeah, he did submit, but we're already set to do that on our own if we had to, right?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah,
Right, we
Yeah.
can still get reimbursed, though.
okay. And in 2026 is Washington, is what we were thinking. Okay, and this contract is 20 years, really 15 if we want out, because we have to give them a 5-year notice, you know? Yeah, 15.
So maybe we wait.
Excuse me?
Maybe we wait, is what you're thinking? Because
Well,
we
when
can opt in anytime.
Right. Can opt in at any time. We've been using CRA, and businesses have been coming here because of that. That's why I asked the question about crack. He calls it CRA, we call it crack. You know, and we have a corporate park that he's been working on, we've been trying to get this. So I'm trying to figure out the bucket that the mayor's talking about. And I'm trying to hear better numbers. You know? 815,000. What was ours for Marnell?
What was the question on Marnell?
We had a number, the city had a number for Marnell.
For the construction contract?
Yes,
It's like 4.5 million.
right. And their number,
The application for reimbursement from Cleveland Water was
800 and
800, 815.
For the water line.
for the water line.
Yeah.
Nick, I have a question. Could you resubmit if we didn't do this evening? I'm just saying, could you resubmit for Washington when what's it, spring?
That would be February, right?
February. And by then,
That would be for the spring of 2026 program.
right, and by then, there's a possibility that we might know about the Cleveland business by February? I mean, I don't know where you're at in the stages of it all.
Who knows?
Right.
There's, Madam Chair, there's a lot of ifs, and we just have to make a decision based on what you think is the better solution.
Right.
We didn't have many Cleveland companies that have come into the
Right,
city.
right.
So the probability of that happening, and contrary to what Mr. Mano says, is low. I don't see that as being problematic even in the near future. Outside of maybe, what Jeremy says is a possibility. Compare that to, we could potentially get $2 million with these two water projects on these two streets. And how long would it take for us to recoup $2 million in income tax just for 1 year's worth of projects or 2 years' worth of projects versus making an adverse decision? You see what I'm saying? You've got to weigh what we know right
I thought we were too
now.
late for Marnell, though. I thought that one, we were too late for that one.
They encouraged us to submit both of them.
Okay.
800,000 and 1.2 million, did you say, for Washington?
1.46.
Okay, so it's over $2 million we're asking.
So to muddy the waters some more, it's not guaranteed. They might not pick us. Okay?
That's what
And
I'm saying, it's all ifs.
you hamstring getting that business here, which is like more. I don't want to say it's. You got a better chance at maybe getting that increased revenue. So I mean, this is a super difficult decision,
Yes.
and I'm happy I'm not voting on it. It's tough. I mean, it's tough, especially after you.
At the same time, there's, sitting on Public Works, the quality of the streets in the city. And that's not to say we don't apply for this year after year after year. when we do reconstructions or refurbs on our streets, once Washington's done, we're back in the program for street repair. We have 100 streets and 4.5 square miles. I mean, I'm gonna roll the dice and say, we're gonna get a lot more money through this project than we will for, the probability of a company coming from the inner city to use Mayfield Heights as their corporate center.
Well, he did say this only happened one other time in all those years.
Right.
Chief Elliott had his hand up. I was just going to have him come up for a minute here.
As somebody who been here for 32 years and been flushing hydrants and seeing the constant breaks that happen, and we're constantly putting Band-Aids on our hydrants. We have areas in this city that have reduced fire flows. We had to spend $175,000 to reline a hydrant over there off of Lander 14 years ago. And since then, the city has not really put any money into infrastructure on replacing water mains. Looking ahead, we do the streets, we do the sewers, as gas people come in here, but when it comes to water lines, we're rolling the dice every single year. At what point do we have to if we don't do this today or anytime soon, and we're gonna count on businesses, then we are going to have to budget millions of dollars to fix this problem here. I mean, the city's not a young city. You saw the maps.
Right.
These hydrants and water mains are from the 1920s. We're sending guys into burning buildings for a street that could pop a hydrant, pop a main. I don't know. I mean, where do we stop with this? I think we really need to look forward. It may not be the perfect system that everybody wants, but we're talking about serving our community, protecting our safety forces. I think we really need to look deep into this thing. If we're not going to do it, then let's start putting money into infrastructure to start replacing these on our own. We saw the price here, $1.4 million for one street. Look at the map. There's a bunch of streets that are in the red. I know that map is a 10,000 view, but I've seen the problems on these streets. I see the busted the water mains that are breaking every year and flooding people's basements when this happens. And we have a problem and we need to fix it, either with this program or some other program. So.
Thank you,
You're
Chief. And Mr. Minor.
I didn't see it in the contract, but I was curious if either Ray or Nick did. Is there a grace period for retro filing for projects? So let's say we completely finish Marnell and 6 months later we decide to sign this thing. Can we retroactively apply for the project?
Thanks.
No.
No. So-
Which is why on Marnell, the number's a little bit lower because I couldn't plug the engineering design portion of the water line in there. Otherwise, that number, that 800 number would have been higher, closer to Washington's number. So no, you can't retroactively.
Okay. Can you indulge me one more?
Sure.
I think as we are up here discussing this, one thing we need is some actual visual aid. I understand the time frame of it, but I don't know if this is necessarily a question for Jeremy or Dana or both. As we're tossing numbers out here and we're trying to mentally do the gymnastics between the income from payroll that we could receive from some of these companies versus the cost of the project, I'm very curious if we look at Marnell as an average cost versus Washington. Let's say we've got $1.1 million for an average street in the city. How much payroll does a company have to come into the city in order for us to recoup that? And how long does it take to recoup it? $500,000 is a very low number. It is. But what's the average payroll that comes into the city? Right? How many businesses will we need at that average entry payroll into the city in order to recoup the cost of what we would pay for an average road in the city? I have to assume that balance is going to tip into the favor of this particular agreement that we're talking about. Jeremy tossed out a really quick number, $500,000 gets you about $7,500 in withholding.
We looked at, I had Dana
Okay.
look at that exact same thing as we were
We're
discussing.
saying the same thing, King.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying visually, sometimes us discussing it,
Yeah,
when you
helps.
visually see it, it just helps some people really put it into context, what it is we're weighing. But that was my only question. Well, not my only question, but my last question.
Thank you, King.
Call for the vote.
Oh, Ms.
So
Scully.
we looked at, based on 2024 numbers, of the top 300 withholders for Mayfield Heights, 200 would have met the $7,500 threshold, being 500,000 or more in payroll. For the two projects, that we applied for, they would have to be, on average, about $152 million in payroll would make up that 2.3 million or so dollars. And it's either a very, very large company or a whole bunch of little ones. And yes, we may have to recoup it, but depending on where that company that potentially is coming from, if it's prime real estate of where they're leaving, if they backfill that within 5 years, we don't have to repay them anymore. So as soon as they would backfill whoever leaves Cleveland, our payments to them stop as well.
If I could, in the $152 million payroll, where does that rank in the companies right now? That would be in
That
the
would
top
be within the top five.
five companies. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anything further?
Madam Chair, may I? This is a special meeting tonight, folks, so there's no public comment. But Nick, there was a young man back here who had a few questions. If you could find some time to talk to him one-on-one, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Artie, when was the last time you were called a young man?
Yesterday.
I was going to say birthday.
All right. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Medic,
Yes.
Mr. Minor,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Ms. Talbin,
Yes.
Mr. Belstraya,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Against my better judgment, yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes.
Pure and simple.
This motion has been adopted. We will now move to resolution number 2025-41. Mr. Schmidlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2025-41, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with I2C Technologies Limited for the purchase of access cameras at 4 intersections of the city and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Moved.
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta
Second.
and second by Mr. Minor. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Minor,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Ms. Talbin,
Yes.
Mr. Belstraya,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Medic,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano
Second.
and second by Mr. Belstraya. This resolution allows the police department to purchase the new traffic cameras related to the grant from the state of Ohio, which was approved on June 23rd, 25 at that meeting. Everyone received the memo from Chief Mealy regarding the purchase. There will be electrical work needed to install the cameras that were not covered by the grant. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Ms. Talbin,
Yes.
Mr. Belstraya,
Yes.
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mr. Medic,
Yes.
Mr. Minor,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta, or I'm sorry, Mrs. Snyder.
Yes, this resolution has now been approved. Moving to resolution number 2025-42, Mr. Schmidlin.
2025-42, a resolution authorizing change order number 1 with Fund Superior Sales Company, Inc., and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Moved.
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta
Second.
and second by Mr. Medic. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Ms. Talbin?
Yes.
Mr. Balestrea?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Medic?
Yes.
Mr. Minor?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes?
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Belstrea
Second.
and second by Mr. Minor. This resolution authorizes the change in payment owed to the P Fund for the additional items added to the new squad, originally approved in Resolution 2022-59. Council was polled at the end of June and agreed to this expenditure. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Balestrea?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Medic?
Yes.
Mr. Minor?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes?
Ms. Talbin?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. This resolution has now been approved. Moving to resolution number 2025-43, Mr. Schmidlin.
2025-43, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Glaus, Pyle, Scholmer, Burns, and DeHaven, Inc., DBA the GPD Group, to provide professional engineering services for the Ridgeway Boulevard resurfacing project in the city and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Medic
Second.
and second by Ms. Talbin. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Medic?
Yes.
Mr. Minor?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes?
Ms. Talbin?
Yes.
Mr. Balestrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Belstrea
Second.
and second by Ms. Talbin. This resolution amends the contract with GPD and approves the engineering services for the design of Ridgeway Boulevard resurfacing project. The proposal from GPD was attached in the legislation. The limits of this project are from Iroquois Avenue to Orchard Heights Drive, the south side of the road. The north side of the road is in Highland Heights and will be completed with this project as well. GPD will be working with the coordinating efforts with Highland Heights engineer. The Mayfield Heights and Highland Heights projects will be combined into one bid package, advertised and constructed as one project. The Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works will be providing a maximum amount of $250,000 towards the construction of the estimated project. This time, Mr. Feeney, is there anything else you would like to add? Okay, any questions from council?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
After bidding, I would anticipate, once we get through the bidding process, there probably consider a cooperative agreement between the two communities because it will be constructed as one project. So just a formal agreement outlining, once we have the bid results and we know the dollar amount per community. That's it.
I just had a quick question. So the engineering services, you're doing just our side of the road,
Correct.
and then they're doing their side?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Medic?
Yes.
Mr. Minor?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes?
Ms. Talbin?
Yes.
Mr. Balestrea?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, this resolution has been adopted. We have one ordinance, beginning with ordinance number 2025-25. Mr. Schmidlin.
Ordinance 2025-25, an ordinance enacting Section 1195.09 of the codified ordinances of the City of Mayfield Heights titled Retail Tobacco and Vapor Stores. I believe this is third reading. Third reading.
Okay, is there a motion to amend the ordinance as presented?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Belstrea
Second.
and second by Mr. Medic. Okay, a roll call on the motion to amend.
Mr. Minor?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes?
Ms. Talbin?
Yes.
Mr. Balestrea?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Medic?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mano
Second.
and second by Mrs. Sabetta. This ordinance enacts Section 1195-09 of the codified ordinance titled Retail Tobacco and Vapor Stores. This was discussed, reviewed, and approved by the Planning Commission at their June 16th meeting. This ordinance lays out definitions to be used, location requirements for the stores, limitation on the sales, and penalties associated with violations to this ordinance. Mr. Schmidlin, did you want to go over any of this?
No, this is something that needed to be approved by Planning Commission. It was approved by Planning Commission. The amendments were minor. We wanted to define operator, which we did, and we also wanted to make sure it was clear that anybody that did this was in violation of it, rather than just the operator. So there was just two minor clarifications that, with the help of Mr. Balistreo, we took care of.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Ms. Talbin?
Yes.
Mr. Balistreo?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Medic?
Yes.
Mr. Minor?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. This ordinance has been approved. Now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Minor
Second.
and second by Mrs. Zabetta. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And thank you, everyone. We are now adjourned.
Pardon? I said you might make YouTube. Yeah.